All right. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Community Redevelopment Agency hybrid regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 11th. It is 5:31. Call the roll, please.
Chair James,
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino, Board Member Davis,
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn,
Here.
Board Member Odman,
Here.
CRA Director Chen, here, City Attorney Boots.
Here. Thank you. And at this time, we will have citizens' comments. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to address the board, now is your time. If there's anyone online, please use your raise a hand tool. Seeing as there are none, move along to the administrative reports.
Thank you, Chair James. As usual, we have included the list of CRA staff with our contact numbers. We're always anxious to hear from the public. We'd very much like to keep in touch and make sure we understand what's on your mind and what we can do to serve you. As to the Dania Beach Innovation Ecosystem, following last month where you approved the lease or the master agreement with Sky Spaces for the CRA space with the incubator. We have already met with the owner of that property to start designing space. And as we discussed, he has committed that we will have a federal highway window frontage with our offices. We've had any number of discussions about CRA-owned properties. As I mentioned in our budget discussions that the CRA owns 16 parcels. I actually have to revise that. The CRA owns 15 parcels. The 16th was a parcel of land that was a dedicated roadway, which is really not a use for the CRA. But with that, one of the properties was the subject of an RFP, and that is on your agenda tonight for discussion, hopefully resolution. For the remaining parcels, 3 have been identified as unbuildable, and I have had discussions with the city manager and community development to determine if there's possibilities of using those unbuildable sites as community parks. And we need to discuss some of that as well. The point being is that it would be very helpful for me to have an understanding where your positions are, where your preferences are for the use of CRA-owned properties. And I would like to request a public workshop to discuss the CRA-owned properties. And I'd like to suggest early November so that we can have materials and so forth that can provide you all of the support and so forth so you can understand each and every parcel of land that we would discuss. Can we identify a date that would be convenient to the CRA board?
1 second. Vice Chair?
Michael, I would prefer you to get everything in order before we designate a date. I think that there's possibility that in an hour and a half meeting that we always seem to cut short, that we can discuss it in that time instead of doing a workshop. If it doesn't work effectively during our meeting, then we can move forward to a workshop.
Actually, I have got all the information I think you will need to understand each and every property.
Well, then maybe we can take them a few at a time through the meetings. I'd rather not spend and do workshop on something that we haven't moved forward on the first piece of property yet until we decide it. We can maybe do, if you have 15 other pieces of property, maybe we can do 3 at a time at each meeting or 5 at a time each meeting. So we don't have to be pressed for each property and make all the decisions on all those properties at one time. I think it's best we take them individually or in groups of 3 or 4.
Your decision on how you would like to conduct the discussion.
Board Member Llewellyn?
I was actually going to suggest the same workshop for this. I think this is more of a, if we have the backup and we have the opportunity to review the backup, then we can just sit here and go through them and discuss them. And I'd rather get them all done at once because then we might be able to group them. And there might be some that we know are buildable and that we know we can do certain things with. And there may be some that we just know we're not going to be able to do anything with. So we need to figure out just make the decision as to what we're going to do. So, I mean, if we have all the backup, I don't see why we can't address it at the next meeting.
Can I make a suggestion? That you give us all of the backup on all of the parcels, and and at the time we'll put a few on there, and if we're able to get through those, we can see how many we can get through in one meeting. If we have to come back, then we'll come back. Is everyone okay with that? All right, that's how we move forward.
Thank you. As to Dania After Dark, this past Saturday was constantly threatening rain and bad weather, but it turned out to hold off for us. It was a wonderful evening, mild weather, and great Latin entertainment to observe the Latin recognition of the Hispanic month, Hispanic Heritage Month. Um, Bill has continued his Bravo visits to our local businesses. I won't go through each and every one, but he's he's continuing to cover a wide range of businesses in different locations. So there's everything here from a lumber and hardware store, the Ameca Lumber and Hardware store, to the Dania Beach Cleaners, Ikish Design, which is graphic design business, which is basically a computer-based and technology business, Glassworks, Custom Furniture, Pedro Custom Furniture, Levy Realty Advisors, UTES, which is specializing in basically debugging software, again, a technology business, and Telephone Man Telecom Supply, which is dealing with telecommunication systems, including the revamp of old systems that can be brought back to life to useful use for any number of businesses. Last month, I mentioned to you that the Alliance of Entrepreneurial Resource Organizations, ARO, I mentioned last month that we were going to host the ARO Expo, which is an annual event here at City Hall. Because of the threat of Hurricane Ian, that event was postponed, but it's still here in Dania Beach. It will be held on November the 9th. Kind of late breaking news, also November the 10th, the CRA will host the Alliance Partner Council meeting here at City Hall as well. For the patch, the patch is holding two events that's coming up, the Fall Farm Market on November the 19th and the Holiday Farm Market on December 17th. The patch is opening regularly for purchases Monday through Friday for walk-in, so that we're trying to expand that to where it doesn't require everybody to do it as online shopping. Volunteer activity is continuing, and we welcome back Nova Southeastern medical students. And there's photos of some of their activities here. We're also working on placing an order for the new patch shed, which was discussed a number of months ago. It actually took us quite a while to get a complete and comprehensive price between doing the shed, the electrical, the foundation and anchoring systems, the air conditioning, and so forth to make it a useful piece. But that is ready to move forward. We are hiring a growing consultant to help us improve the productivity and understand better how to effectively rotate crops and put crops in for appropriate seasons, growing seasons here in Florida. We are about to restart the CSA Produce Box. I described this last year as Patch in a Box. It's a program of a prepaid subscription, and every 2 weeks you get a box of greens that could very easily sustain a family of 4 for the 2 weeks between each box. We've also are renewing our agreement with Feeding Florida and Fresh Access Bucks. This enables us to sell our produce and so forth through the SNAP systems. And then our Love Our Nation group program is dedicated to educating children on produce. That is resuming as well. And United Health Partnerships, which has also been here to see you any number of times, continue to pledge their their collaboration and partnership with the patch. And we look forward to announcing additional programs with UHP in the future. And that's the administrative report.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do you want to pull the item, Vice Chair? Do we have any pulls?
Not this, but, yeah, I like to pull it, want to discuss it.
5.1, 5.3. Do we have a motion? Board Member Llewellyn,
Move to approve the consent agenda five, with the exception of 5.3.
do we have a second? All in favor? Anyone? All right. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Okay. I'm
me-
gonna,
Let me read 5.3. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper CRA officials to execute the final renewal of an existing agreement for a one-year period with Standing Ovation LLC, a Florida limited liability company, relating to consulting and production services in connection with the 2023 Arts and Seafood Celebration in an amount not to exceed $45,000, provided for conflicts and an effective date.
thank you. Okay, my question is, we have this beautiful seafood event down there, and we are paying somebody to put this on for us. Is that correct, Michael?
We do, yes.
Yeah, okay. So my question is, why are we paying somebody to do this instead of them paying us to use our facility?
Well, the way I understand it, it is something that has been done this way
I
traditionally.
understand how
Now,
it's been
I
done. I'm
also-
asking you a question. Why haven't you maybe looked into it or changed it or asked a question or maybe come up with a new idea? I'm not gonna be hard. I'm just gonna get to the point. The motorcycle show is self-sufficient and they bring in a lot of money. They sell spots to pay for the things and they pay for their own, a lot of their own bathrooms and everything else. The CRA is paying $45,000 for someone to use our facility, and those people are making money off of what they're bringing in there, and we're paying them to make money. I don't agree with it. So I am just going to make a motion or a thought for next year that we regroup and we think about how we want to run this and see if another company wants to come in and pay us to use our park and our facility. Because I don't think as many cities out there, unless you come back and show me a difference of where other cities pay to have these things put on. I don't have a problem with, giving certain things away, but I mean, when somebody else is making money off of us while we're paying them $45,000, I have an issue with that. So I'm not going to drag it out. It's just something I think you should look into. I'd like to have that answer by February of next year. It gives you 4 months to work.
Actually, we did understand you were interested in exploring how some variations could happen around arts and seafood. That is part of our discussion with this production company
Okay.
about how it could be done differently, including the idea of how we could perhaps fence off the area to where there would be an entry fee charge. So
A small entry fee, $5 a head would cover that $45,000. I assure you in 2 days.
we plan to bring some concepts with you for changes in the venue. But we do need to get people on board because this is an event that takes months and months in advance.
Well, you got another year. You're in 2 months.
Well, actually, it's
3 months.
in April, so we'll get back
Okay,
with
all right,
you.
I'm just
in the next
asking
few
you that,
months
if
on
you
this.
could give us an answer. I mean, listen, if you can show the board that it's deemed that we have to pay that, I would understand it. But at this point, as a business person, I don't understand why we're paying somebody to make money off of us. That's my,
We'll bring you some
Okay.
some options for consideration.
thank you very much. Second thing I have is that I did get a call. It was kind of interesting. On Dania After Dark. I don't mean to skip off the subject here, but that's what I wanted to do. That we have too many food trucks out there. That some of the people were complaining that there's so many out there and the crowd is not quite as big. Have you had any issue with anybody complaining that they're not making any money on the food trucks?
I have not heard any problem with that. In fact, just this past month, we got some new food trucks because the event seems to be getting
Listen, I don't have a
dangerous
problem with it. I mean,
reputation.
I think the more the merrier myself, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was okay with it because the promoter is inviting them in there and then, I guess they collect again for that while we're paying for another event. And they're collecting from the food trucks and everything else, but there's people that are saying that they're not making much money. I just word through the grapevine, but that's just something that
Thank you. Did you have to? Okay, I don't know where. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Anyone? Proposals and bids 6.1.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA authorizing the sale of a CRA property located 509 through 511 Northwest 3rd Terrace to turn to construction for the purpose of rehabilitating the property for use as a 2-unit duplex for low-income affordable housing, 80% AMI, authorizing the proper city officials to execute a deed with restrictive covenant requiring 30 years of affordable housing at 80% AMI, and related documents for the parcel for this purpose, providing for conflicts and an effective date.
Do we have any discussion? Or
Actually,
you
I
want
prepared a little presentation to help both you as well as anyone in the audience to understand what we have here. It is now
Okay.
on your screen, if I may start. This is a picture of the property. It has been there for quite some time. Monica, next slide, please. This duplex was built in 1982. It was foreclosed in 2011, and Wells Fargo Bank was the trustee that managed the foreclosure. In 2012, the property was sold to the city for $5,000. And then in 2019, the city conveyed the property to the CRA. It is a duplex, and each side of the house, each side of the unit, has approximately 1,170 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, 2 parking spaces, living room and kitchen. And a very important piece is that this property is not in a FEMA flood zone. Next slide. Thought we'd give you some pictures of the exterior. There's any number of damaged areas. You can see that basically since the foreclosure, the property has been boarded up. But what is interesting, while it's clearly lacking from regular maintenance and upkeep, the foundation of the property seems to be good, and in general, the overall condition of the walls and so forth are good. The roof does need to be replaced, and perhaps some of the trusses as well. Next slide. For interior, as often happens in a repossessed property, often the departing tenants are a little rough on their exit. They take things with them. This was the case here. You can see that there's kitchen cabinets that the doors and so forth are missing on. One of the water heaters are missing, the air conditioners are missing, and so forth. But again, these pictures will give you some idea of both the interior and exterior of the property that's being offered here. Next slide. So with your approval, we conducted an RFP. It was open on August the 5th and ran through September the 19th at 10 a.m. The RFP was available on the CRA website, which was linked to the city's website. It was posted on the City of Dania Beach's website, and it was posted on DemandStar. According to Florida State Statutes 163.380, there was a published notice of the sale, of the anticipated sale that was done, and that actually related to the RFPs that could be found at the websites. And also it advised people that that the sale of this property was mandated to be for low-income affordable use. During the span of the RFP, we had 2 open houses for inspections at the request of interested parties. Next slide. We received 3 responses. One of them was deemed by purchasing to be non-responsive. That left 2 respondents, MVG Consulting, LLC, and Turn 2 Construction. Both of them are MBE, WBE companies. And in fact, I think we have representatives of both companies here with us tonight. I put together kind of a comparative maintenance so you could see key factors that were in their responses side by side. Again, they were both minority businesses. MVG has been in business about 2 years. Turn 2 has been in business for just shy of a year. The primary businesses, MVG is a construction management firm, and Turn 2 is actually a licensed general contractor. According to their descriptions and references, they both have experience with affordable housing. MVG is located in Pembroke Pines. Turn 2 is located in Pompano Beach. They offered purchase prices for the property. MVG offered $100,000 and Turn 2 offered $150,000. In terms of their rehab time estimate, MVG did an estimate of 90 days for the complete rehab. Turn 2 estimated a longer project at 225 days. And both of them used some interesting affordable housing programs to support their interests. MVG used SOAR, which is a program that I'll describe in a little bit more detail. In fact, I'll describe both of them in a minute. Next slide. So MVG used SOAR, which is a financing program that are sponsored by community development financial institutions. And in this particular case, the MVG proposal was supported by a CRA partner in our Dania Beach Business Academy in DC. Was the CDFI that is providing that assistance to MVG. Turn 2 used South Florida. I don't remember the acronym. It's a long one, but it's a housing program that is sponsored by the South Florida Regional Planning Council. It is a program specific to offering construction financing to build affordable single-family housing to first-time minority home buyers. And they also provide loans and development services to disadvantaged and small businesses for community development. Next slide. Thank you. Actually, this is the MVG's actual letter where they summarized their interest in purchasing the property. And next slide. And this was Turn 2's proposal letter. In your package, I have all the documents from the published notice to the actual full-size RFP responses that we received. And at that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
My first initial question is, this is just for renovations. This isn't to rebuild it. They're going to use the existing shell structure.
Both of them have proposed for a rehab, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? No discussion at all? No? Okay. Go ahead, Board Member Llewellyn.
What is the actual appraised value of that property?
The appraised value as is was $275,000.
Okay, now I have a follow-up question. Say that again. No. I'm asking you. Say that again. The appraised value. I need to write it down.
The appraised value was $275,000.
And do you know why the bids for how much they want to buy the property is significantly lower than the appraised value?
Yes, because the appraised value estimated repairs of about $150,000, which is pretty seriously understated considering the condition of the property. And secondly, because of the condition of the property and the economics, when we discussed this, we agreed that it would be put out for low-income affordable housing. So basically, the discount from market rate appraised value to the discounted values we received is reflecting the condition of low-income affordable for 30 years.
And then they're going to sell these, or
The,
what is the intent of the duplexes? To keep them as rentals or to sell them?
no, we offered it to the, try to make it as broad for the interest of prospective respondents as possible. So it was offered up as either a rehab or a redevelopment, for sale or for rent. And in this case, the recommendation of the CRA for the selected party, their intent is to sell the units for low-income housing.
Housing as a rental, right? For a
No,
duplex.
to sell. Their intent is to do the rehab and then sell the units as low-income housing.
So is it considered a condo? Okay, I don't. It can't be a house. So is it going
It's
to be
gonna
a
be two
condo or a
townhomes.
townhome?
There'll be two townhomes,
So
probably a
one
condo.
floor
'cause
townhome.
one floor townhome, probably a condo because they have adjoining walls.
Yeah.
That would be
Um,
their requirement, and I'm sure whoever you'd like to speak to could tell you about that. But basically, they're going to be using the ADAMI for the purchasers, and the purchasers would probably have second and third mortgages to cover the differences in the price. Usually, the third is forgiven.
But yeah, I'm really confused. I'll let Vice Chair go for now.
Thank you. So how do you, I got a couple questions. How do you get an appraised value of that kind of money when the building is in that kind of condition? It may be worth more as it's fixed up in that condition. It catches me off guard that they could even be worth that, because I mean, the land itself, where it sits, with the comparables over there, it can't be more than what we're talking about on all the other lots that you're getting ready to present to us are between $50,000 and $75,000, is what you brought up before, I believe. Let me finish. And so if that appraised value is there, that building's in shambles, and all that's really worth it on the outside of it is a concrete block wall and a poured slab. The tithing, because all the trusses, I'm sure, probably shot along with the roofing and all the drywall and everything else that's in there, and the kitchen cabinets. So how do they appraise it 225? I think the more appraised value would be what they're offering.
Well, we
I mean,
actually
who does
went
the
out,
appraisal?
I'm sorry.
Who does the appraisal?
We actually went out to find someone who has a reputation for doing appraisals on damaged properties.
Send it my way, will you?
In fact, I mean, I've actually shared with you the appraiser, the
Okay.
actual appraisal.
Well, I have to differ with your appraisal value. I mean, I can tell you that you either need to have a second appraisal done. I mean, nothing against the prices that they're coming in, because I think the prices are in reason, because I'm sure they put another $150,000 into it. The question I have is, I see the applicants here, is when you rebuild this, are you rebuilding this with new stuff inside, or used appliances, or used doors or stuff like that, or is this all going to be brand new reconstruction in there? That's important to know. Yes,
There are two applicants, so
There are two. Are we going to give both a chance
Yep,
to
sure.
speak? Okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Christina Anthony, 1906 Harding Street, Lake Worth Beach, Florida.
So the question is that when you rebuild this, tell me how you would rebuild this because now what I'm gathering is I didn't realize that you could take and split a duplex into a condominium, and then you have to have an HOA involved in that, or you have to register with the state as a condominium association. Who's going to collect those condominium fees, and who's going to be appointed to the president of the condominium? It turns into a real problem, sounds like to me, because now you got two people that are going to be sitting there arguing who's going to be in charge of something like that. I mean, I think the designation for this property was not to be broken down into a condo; it was broken into being a low-income housing to be rented by the person. If you're going to flip the property, I don't know if that's the case or not, but it sounds like that's the case. You're going to flip it and turn it into a condominium. And I got to tell you, honestly, I'm not in favor of either one, either applicant, if that's what they're going to do. I think it should be in a situation where it's designated as a duplex, and it should be either sold as a duplex, and the person that buys it has to keep it under the current conditions you put it at for the AMI, and be sold as low income housing. I think right now what we're doing is we're again promoting products that somebody else is making a profit on us again, and that's not what our city wants to design to do.
Vice Mayor, the condition actually requires the rehab to be done as a 2-unit duplex, and it has to be maintained as a 2-unit duplex, and there is a penalty within the covenant of title if they combine the units. So it is a 2-unit
Okay, well, whatever.
duplex.
I think there's a little confusion. He's not saying that they're going to combine the units and make it one place. You're saying housing as in two separate dwelling units. And what the vice chair is saying, that's still flipping it because you're going to sell each individual dwelling unit separately as a condo. You have two condos, not a combined one. So I understand exactly what he's saying.
You know, I mean, this is completely different than that I thought the approach was coming at. I thought we were taking our city-owned lots and city-owned properties and turning it into some low-income housing that we were able to, provide the residents with and not turn it into a bid for profit to the point where you would turn it and turn it into a split unit. I mean, listen, I have no problem if you were whoever bid on it because I know that's a lot of work to be done on property. I mean, I'm very aware of how much it's going to cost you. I don't like the fact that if you were to sell it, I would think that you need to sell it as a new unit. I mean, as a duplex, as someone that wants to keep it as a low income house, they have to follow the rules that are set forth.
To be
By us.
clear, they would have to comply with our
Yeah, but
covenant.
yeah, but-
So let me try and help. So the form of ownership, and they can talk about what they want to do for form of ownership, but ordinarily there is not a lot of housing that can be purchased for persons that are at 80% AMI. That's usually with subsidies. And one of the subsidies is the value of the land here in this example. So, for example, when Habitat for Humanity or some other organization comes in, they will put a first, a second, and sometimes even a third mortgage on the property. Third mortgage is usually closing costs for Habitat or whatever the organization is, and the first two is the subsidy, and then the 80% AMI, which is basically the funding, whether it's a HUD funding or their funding at that percentage rate.
Okay.
The I think your concern is the form of ownership. You're basically saying you want somebody to buy the
Okay, so
and
explain,
rehab
yeah, all right, so explain to me, how does it work with you, if you turn this into, I guess the first of all, my question was, do you rebuild this with brand new stuff? Is there any new cabinets and new, I mean, you saw the pictures like I did, you've inspected it. So the place is a complete disaster, so that means a complete rebuild basically from top to bottom, except for your brick walls and brick floor, am I correct?
Correct,
Okay, so when you put stuff in there to rebuild this, would it all be brand new, like new construction?
correct.
Okay, so when you get done with that, explain to me, how do you turn it into a condo?
So what we would have to do is apply with the city to separate the units into two different legal descriptions. As stated, it would be, at that point, we would sell the 2 units to 2 affordable housing candidates using the pool programs and the HUD.
And
metrics.
who controls those units, when they're still combined or joined, so they're not independently run, and then the two different people there, who controls that? Who takes charge? Who makes sure all that works though?
So we would put a HOA in place and have a property management company make sure that the shared
Do you maintain the
spaces.
property management company after you sell it?
I'm sorry, yes.
You do,
We would put all of that place prior to selling it to
and your property management company, so they would be paying property management fees through an HOA fund, and then you would maintain the property at that point.
correct. This gives an opportunity for 2 home buyers to get this.
No,
To get
listen,
an
I'm all
option.
for the 2 home buyers and everything else. I've never seen it done like that before. I mean, I've seen groups of apartment buildings that are about the same size as that put together, but not 2. And then there's always a group of people that go in there, and there's a president elected by the homeowners that are there. You get 2 homeowners, so there could be, somebody has to be a president of the homeowners association by the Florida state law. Is that correct?
We
Yeah,
would put
okay.
all of that.
So you
stuff
have
in
that.
place.
So you have 2 people, then you have 2 voting rights, and one votes. Then they got a still vote. One goes yes, one goes no. And now you have a blank vote on the voting of it, right? See, that's, to me, it just looks like a trouble. So I've been through. I own condos. I've seen it happen, and having 2 condos side by side is nothing but a fight. Trust me when I tell you.
Um, board member Llewellyn.
Thank you. I have 2 questions, 2 areas to ask about. Has there been any consideration for demolition of this property as opposed to a rehab, or is that an issue due to taxes?
In the RFP, it was offered up as an option for interested parties. I think that the evaluation that was done by the people who were interested in this recognized that there was inherent value in the existing foundation and the walls, and that's why it wasn't done as a redevelopment versus a rehab.
My second question is, why is this property not, um, could we include it as part of the other CRA owned properties that we have? And as far as evaluating what to do with it, I'm just not, I'm not understanding why it has to be separate
I,
from the other properties that we have.
um, well, it's one of 15 properties, and whatever its disposition would be, I would expect it would be a property that is handled as an individual property.
So it is
And
one of the 15 properties then.
it is one of
Okay,
the 15
that's,
properties.
I wasn't understanding that. That's what
Oh,
I
I'm
missed.
sorry.
Okay, okay, that's what I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Davis.
Thank you. I guess I wanted to hear from the people themselves what your vision was, and for both applicants who are here. You know, I know we put a lot of questions at you with different things, but I wanted to, when you decided that you wanted to purchase this property, what was your vision for it? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So our intent obviously was the area has a lot of opportunity. You have Dania Point less than a mile away. Affordable housing is our bread and butter, what we move forward with. So when we saw this opportunity, it was something that we wanted to pursue. We did inspect and see the property. We got to see inside of it, outside of it. We assessed it and identified what areas were in good standing and what did need to be replaced. A lot of the major things will be replaced, whether it be electrical, the AC, the floors, the cabinets, all of those things, the roof, etc. Obviously, we'll be going through those codes. And the biggest thing is when we're talking about what the community needs in terms of affordable housing, there are limited opportunities. And this opportunity was something that instead of giving it to an investor that would rent this property out, we could provide two affordable homes, which is a big need in this community right now.
Very good, thank you. My question was similar to Commissioner Llewellyn. You found it to be structurally sound because the way it looked from the inside, it looks like it should just be demolished. Just
Yeah.
from looking at it, I haven't seen it up close and personal. So you did find the structure for it to be structurally sound.
Yes, it's primarily cosmetics that makes it look that way. However, structurally, it is very strong. We again assessed that internally and externally. Um, and as we break things through and break construction, if we identify any opportunity where there needs to be more work done, we've allotted a budget to make sure that that's done as well.
Okay. Thank you. And I also would like to hear from the other applicant if they're here as well, and just to see what your vision was, if you'd like to speak, or why you.
Oh, please hold. Vice Mayor, you have a question
Yeah,
for her
yes,
before the other
I'm
applicant?
gonna ask both the applicants. How much rent is it gonna be per unit?
It would be rented. It would be sold through the affordable housing HUD parameters. Utilizing the pool of home buyer programs that depends on how many people and the amount of people that are going in there. We're estimating about 266,000 per unit that they would be able to
So the
purchase.
purchase is 266,000, okay,
That's
per
kind of
unit.
the market price.
That's
Yeah.
532,000, okay, so, $532,000, the property once it's complete. Um, okay, I have one other question, I can't remember what it was now.
I have a question. And then for you before I think we should finish all our questions with you and then ask the other applicant. Is there an option since you intend to keep it in house for it to remain as rentals versus home ownership? The vice chair raised some good questions about um, how it is to be gridlocked in a tie vote. And at the end of the day, they may come back through you, but they're going to contact us. And so, whatever decision that we make, I think I want to have all the options and availability. So, are you all? Um, is it an opportunity to keep it as rentals versus home ownership, and is that easier or harder then turning it into two separate, I guess, a condo.
It is an option to keep it as is with it being a rental. One of the concerns that was raised in terms of the property management side of things what I will say is that is a similar process if an investor was to own the property, they likely hire a property manager because that outside exterior area that's shared still has to be maintained. So in terms of the differences between the two and those concerns, in my opinion, that property management experience would be the same, being that both renter parties are sharing that space regardless. So we still need to put a property manager in place to maintain the exterior side of it.
So it doesn't really matter because you still need a property manager.
Correct. It's just a different type of structure, whether it be an HOA structure agreement or if I'm renting and I have my agreement with my landlord, those rules are the same. So we just want to put something in place to make sure that there's something in place and a property manager, their job would be to handle any of those issues that should not be coming to the CRA.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
If I could, just one thing on the condo association issues, they could draft some language in the condo documents to break the stalemate that could be forced into the bylaws of or the rules of the condominium association to take care of those issues.
You can flip a coin.
No, it could be required to go to arbitration or one of those things. There are ways
You
of
know,
doing that to break the stalemate.
Last question, when you're talking about the price, I mean, so I'm calculating again, and I get irritable over the fact that as a city, we're here to try to protect our taxpayers and so on. And by doing this, I see you have $150,000 bid on the property. You're probably going to put about $200,000 maybe at a maximum into it. That's from $350,000. You can come with more than 200,000.
320,000
That's
proposed
you're going to put 320,000 into it.
because we're putting everything new and we're also making
How many
this
square feet is that property?
2,500 combined. We're also
Okay.
adding energy
$100.
efficiency
Yeah, all right,
and making
$100.
sure the property is eco-friendly as well, which is one of
I
our.
can see that, but I didn't know it was that big. 2,500 square feet. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have that. So you have. Did you say 200 what thousand? 200 what?
I'm sorry,
How much did you say? 200 what?
320,000
220,000 more? You said
in
220,000.
renovations.
I'm sorry. What? I hear you. I hear you. And I hear
Okay,
her.
just talk to the applicant.
Can you tell me again how much money you said?
$320,000 in renovating the property.
320. So. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what you're going to put into it, I mean, that makes it another story. I mean, because I didn't realize it was going to cost that much to put in there, but I know it's probably about $125 a foot to do it because you already got the property, you already got the foundation. So maybe $100 to $125 a foot because I think going rate is about $200 a foot to build from scratch, right? Roughly to 25
Correct.
on a cookie cutter type of house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since
So
we are the licensed general
so then
contractor.
on
able to
top
cut
of
those
that, what's
costs.
going to happen on the HOA fees on top of that? How much HOA fees do they have to pay?
We're estimating no more than $50 to maintain
month?
a month to maintain the grass and the different exteriors of the
I'm
property.
done.
Thank you. Is the other applicant here? Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought y'all was all mixed up. Okay. Are you the applicant back there? No? Okay. All right, well, we only have one applicant to go by.
Well,
I personally would like to keep it as a duplex and not individualize it. I think it's a bigger headache talking about arbitration, and we're already talking about low income families and taking them through arbitration. That's additional cost that I don't think that they can afford to incur if they're in this program. But that's my take on things. I don't know if anyone else has.
I have one more take on it.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that, being that we have 16 properties, and this is a different approach to it, seeing that they're coming in with, if I'd love to see the numbers when you're done though, because if you're telling me you're putting that money into it, I'd like to see it. And with that opportunity for us, the possibility of going forward with this to see if we choose that particular applicant for it, at least we get to see how it's going to work. And one of the benefits of it is it does become a residential house instead of another rental. That's the biggest benefit about it. I just think that I don't condemn a profit of what you're talking about now, but I just saw a different number until you told me how much is there. But that's why I like to see the numbers, And if you can present us, if they pass it and present it, I like to see your cost factors on it because I I'm pretty familiar on how that stuff works, and I'd like to see what you're coming up with. I didn't know it was 2,500 square feet. So those are 2 bedroom apartments, I guess, two twos, two one and a halves. Okay. I'm okay. I'm done, Mayor. I think I've asked enough. Chair.
Yeah, you've done it from a different hat. So, um, anyone else have any other? Board Member Davis, the other applicant is in here for you to ask questions. So, um, anyone else have anything? Board Member Llewellyn.
If we're speaking about preference, I do actually prefer the condo situation over the apartments because that is something we've been trying to promote is more home ownership as opposed to rentals. And we do have a lot of rentals already, so I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Make a motion to pass the item, Mayor.
Second. Yeah, you make a motion.
I'm
to
selecting one
select
that's $150,000 for the piece of property. I don't have it in front of my screen. I have to go back.
which
The applicant that's here.
I think that's turn two or turn two. All right, you're making a motion for turn.
Turn two to purchase the property at $150,000. But to add on, I'd like to see the cost factors.
Is that a stipulation or you
It's a
just
stipulation with that because I'd like to follow up in case it's a further property that we end up selling later. Are you okay with that?
I have to ask the city attorney. We can do
Yeah,
that.
it's okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. It was seconded by Board Member Llewellyn.
But are they okay with it though?
What?
Well, I mean, they
We're
have to
awarding
agree.
the bid.
They have to agree to change.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Board Member Davis, did you have anything else to say? You had a.
No, I just wanted to, I was just in agreement with what my colleague said. I just visited Habitat for Humanity last week, and I think it's really important to invest in home ownership and affordable home ownership. And when you do make it beautiful and you allow the people to invest in their homes, it truly does make a difference. And I'm glad that you're leading this effort here in Dayton Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action 7.1.
It's a resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA authorizing the proper CRA officials to execute an extension of the Executive Director Michael Chen's employment agreement, provided for conflicts and an effective date. Okay, so I've sent you all an email over the past 2 months, basically informing you that Mr. Chen was hired in on November 16th, 2020. He had a 2-year employment agreement that expires on November 15th, 2022. We need to provide 30-day notice should we decide not to extend. And Mr. Chen is requesting an extension for a 3-year term. His current salary, including all COLAs, as of October 1st, 2022, is $169,260. He is not asking for any salary increase. The CRA budget includes this $169,000 salary, so there's no changes in the budget. Last year, the CRA provided the director a 5-day increase in vacation time. If just to give you all the information, we must provide him 30-day notice should we not extend the contract. If we extend the contract, you need to tell me the number of term of years. We're looking at 3 years per the request of Mr. Chen. If you terminate at a later date, there's a severance package that is paid. If you terminate now, it's basically whatever date it is that he's terminated on, plus any vacation and sick days that he may have.
Does the severance package depend whether or not it's with cause or without, or it's just?
It's the without.
Okay. Any discussion? Vice Chair?
I'm always full of discussion. I would make a recommendation to the board that we extend the contract for 1 year. I'd like to see some, I've expressed in the past CRA meetings that things have not had an ending result. And I feel like a step forward may have been taken with the property sold tonight and bringing forward the other 15 properties, maybe step up a little bit. One of the things I think that worked for us on our commission was the what we do with the plan. No, what are we doing? We went sat down with the strategic, right? The strategic plan, and I think that maybe we need to give him an opportunity with a strategic plan to get his accomplishments done, like we are with this during the city. I feel that maybe a 1 year contract to prove that he can do these things could give an opportunity for us to continue on with him at a further date. But I'm not willing to go 3 years on the contract at this time until I can see more going on. That's my opinion. But I would make a motion if it's up to the
Wait,
board. I'm not okay. Well, when the time comes, I agree to 1 year. That's
thank
with
you.
the accomplishments. But we'll worry about that later.
Thank you. Board Member Davis?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I believe that your current contract that you were under was a 2-year contract. Is that correct? And so I would be in favor of another 2 years. I know that there are a lot of seeds that have been planted with the incubator, with FIU, with the things that, we're working on, and that cannot be accomplished necessarily successfully within a year. Within a year, you can definitely look at the deliverables. We should have some tangible items that we should be able to see based on what Mr. Chen has proposed and see how successfully they've worked. But I would be in favor of giving him the opportunity to at least have a 2-year contract. It goes by very, very fast. And at the end of 2 years, I think we would really be able to see that, we need to either we're moving forward in this positive direction or we need to switch directions. But I think 2 years is feasible for him to be able to continue to start the work, to plant the seeds, and give him a good chance at success. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, Commissioner, Board Member Ottman?
Hi, thank you. I think that Mr. Chen is really a very intelligent, a very can you hear me? I thought you were motioning. You can.
No, you're fine. I just asked him to turn down a little
A
bit.
very intelligent, I mean, a really incredible career. I'm remembering the resume, and I mean, just what a wonderful career he's had. But I don't feel like it's the right fit from where where I've been. It's just I don't know. I don't know that. I understand what Board Member Davis is saying, but I think if in one more year, you know, I think that's plenty of time to really see if those deliverables are there. So I don't know that I would be in favor of anything more than a 1 year extension at this point.
Thank you. Board Member Llewellyn?
Yes, thank you. I was going to say, let's compromise and do 18 months. Um, but I really honestly do think that we could see some deliverables met within a year. Maybe not all of them, but I think we can see some of them met within a year. And I would be in favor of extending it for 1 year, revisit it at that time. And then, at that time, then we can maybe have an option, if deliverables are being met and same concerns. I think we all have the same concerns that things need to be completed. And I am hopeful based upon what I've seen in actually the last couple of meetings. So I'd like to go 1 year and then we can revisit it at potentially extending it further than that to either 2 or 3 years at that point.
Thank you. I too feel like it's not a great fit here. I feel, I guess I want to say it how I feel it and say it the right way. I feel that when I look at these deliverables that we put in front of anyone who comes to this city, no matter what agenda they've already had to be able to perform, I don't think those things were met. I can't really look at any tangible results of us taking photos or showing off things that we've done in our CRA um, over the past 2 years. Furthermore, I am in favor of the incubator, so I don't want to confuse um, if if we decide to change leadership, I know that we have support for the year at least, but if we decide to change leadership, it doesn't mean that the incubator has to go away. It doesn't mean that any of the other programming has to go away. It doesn't mean that our events have to go away. I think Mr. Chen walked in with a lot of that already on his plate, that some of it has been continued. I do think that I know that there isn't a relationship with the community, and that is very important to me. With the stakeholders, I've been to meetings, and I know that that relationship isn't realized. And I also think that our visions are a little different. I think that we have to stay on these tasks and deliverables, like the patch master plan was supposed to be given back to us. Already what we're doing with our mission and our vision of everything else of the CRA plan, we haven't seen that yet either. And I don't feel like we can continue to kick the can down the road. 12 months is going to come really fast. And I'm not in favor of renewing the contract at all. I think it's a little bold to have a 2-year contract and to have had the discussions that we've had over these past 2 years and then come and ask for a 3-year contract. Um, but I think it's just different visions that align. And so if you all want to support the 1 year, okay. But I think at that point, we really have to make decisions are hard decisions, and really have deliverables that need to be met. I don't see that happening as of yet. So that's where I am with it. Board Member Davis?
Yes, I do believe that the incubator project is one of Michael's brainchildren, right? That's like his relationship specifically with FIU that project came about. And so to not if you've ever started a program, 1 year is just not sufficient to see the success that it could possibly be. I'm an educator. I've started programs. I've started different things. You need more than a year to see it. I guess the year can be the check, but I know that it's because of his relationship specifically with Dr. Ford, with FIU, that this incubator is even possible. So just to try to remove him from a situation that he's built relationships from and built, networks with, and then just say we're going to stick somebody else in there in your place. I think that's not a best practice. That wouldn't be a best practice. I would at least allow him to have the time and the opportunity to see it be successful. I don't have the support for 2 years, but I at least would want him to be able to have that relationship, be able to have the potential to flourish. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Llewellyn and
Yeah.
then Vice Chair.
Um, and I think that the vice chair's comment about a strategic plan would go a long way to help with this. I think if there is a strategic plan that we do for the CRA within, say, the first 3 months, um, you know, sometime before March, then that would at least give more guidance overall and create deliverables that can be matched. So that's I think if we're doing that, then we're showing, and you have the long-term goals, which is the incubator, but then you also have some shorter term goals as well that we can address. And I think that would be a way to do it. I don't I, you know it's been a weird couple of years with COVID and everything else, and it's a different, you have to evaluate people differently, I feel, right now. So I think that would give us the opportunity, if we extend it for a year, and even make it a caveat that we have to do a strategic plan within the next 3 months, then I think that would help with the whole situation.
I, Vice Chair, just before that, I'm not not in favor. So I am in favor of a strategic plan, master plan, or whatever we call that. I'm just a little concerned because we still haven't gotten the CRA plan or the patch master plan, which we have asked for months now. So I don't want the strategic. I don't want these other things to be forgotten about because we're going to slap a strategic plan. We still have stuff that we haven't gotten back yet. Vice Chair.
Okay, let's say in that chair, I agree with you. I think that what we should do is, those are the two items right off the bat that we should have what they call in the strategic plan for him to finish. I think that he should have a timeline on that. If the timeline is met, that shows you that we made a wrong decision extending the contract. If he gives us a timeline that we accept, then we're doing the right thing. Along with that, I would recommend that he or we give him 2 or 3 items that would be strategically planned out that we would have accomplished and try to have those accomplishments done within 8 to 12 months so that he can show a completion of the things that are there. So it would look good for him to extend his contract on the things that are reasonably that we can reasonably get done in that amount of time. Maybe not the incubator program, but at least we can see where we are at that time to see if the progress is being made. And with that, I would make a motion to extend this contract for 1 year.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
All right.
Anyone opposed? I guess I'll say nay. And with that, board member comments, board member Davis.
I do not have any comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member Llewellyn.
Yes, just wanted to mention, I was there for Danny After Dark. It was somewhat well attended. I think there was a concern about the rain and people thinking it was going to rain, and it was also really, really hot. Even though there was a nice breeze, it was really hot. But the music was fabulous. I don't think there were too many food trucks there. I don't know where that came from. That's odd. And there was actually a couple that came back this time that people were really excited about, like the milkshake truck. That was a big deal. So I know I had a bunch of people that work for me that were running over there and buying milkshakes. So, but in any event, everyone that I spoke to was having a great time, really enjoying themselves, and just it continues to be a good event. And I'm hoping we can continue to sustain it. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Board member Ottman.
No comments this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll reserve my comments as well.
Oh, yeah.
You're there? You talked a lot. I think we heard all your comments, Vice Chair.
Thank you for everything. I have no comments for the evening.
Meeting adjourned.
I spoke